Welcome. We have a small but mighty crowd today. Dear friends, I figured enough of you had gone to the plane to understand that. Good morning. Welcome to Kitsap Unitarian Universal Fellowship. Whoever you are and wherever you come from, for this hour, we here are one gathered congregation, and all are welcome. Please rise in body and or spirit to join in singing our musical call to worship, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, hymn number 361 in our gray hymnal, led by Tiffany Drake. Thank you all. My name is Ed Luby. You may have seen me before. In a spirit of inclusion and reaching out to those who have limited vision, I will give a self-description of myself. I am a middle-aged white male in a wheelchair. I am extremely unshaven for purposes that most of you know. Long kind of wild hair today. I'm wearing a maroon shirt with a kind of Art Deco tie. Yes, I watch Antiques Roadshow. I know what Art Deco means. I've got blue jeans and tennis shoes. I am about a 7-year member of KUUF. I have served on the board of directors, on the expansion team. I've ushed a few times, and I am a lay leader. Our guest speaker this morning is Alex Kapitan. Kapitan is a lay community minister, educator, editor, consultant, and activist. A trans and queer lifelong Unitarian Universalist, Alex does interfaith LGBTQ work and supports congregations in becoming places of radical welcome for all. Z is the co-founder of the Transforming Hearts Collective, the co-leader of the program Trans Inclusion in Congregations, and the founder of Radical Copyeditor, an anti-oppressive language project. If you're visiting us this morning, we invite you to participate as you feel comfortable. If you're here in person, we look forward to welcoming you after the service during our coffee hour. If you're attending online, please introduce yourself in the chat. And for those of you here in the sanctuary, it's important to note that we regularly have 15 to 30 people attending online, so our community is much larger than those assembled here. Either way, in person or online, we're so glad that you're here. If you are here in the sanctuary this morning, please silence your electronics devices. Silence them, turn them off. If you have pacemakers, don't turn those off. Leave those on. Those are important. The announcements are available in our weekly email newsletter, The Candle. Now we will have our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the Aboriginal territory of the Suquamish people. Expert fishermen, canoe builders, and basket weavers, the Suquamish live in harmony with the lands and waterways along Washington's Central Salish Sea, as they have for thousands of years. Here, the Suquamish live and protect the land and waters of their ancestors for future generations, as promised by the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. Now we're going to welcome Evie Haver up to light our chalice. Evie was born on Christmas Day. She is an 8th grader at the Lakes Middle School in Coeur d'Alene. Join me now in lighting our chalice. If you have your own chalice or candle at home, please light it as I read our chalice lighting words by Erica Hewitt. Until all means all. The chalice, as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, arose as a beacon of hope in an atmosphere of tyranny. The chalice arose as a sign of promise that the marginalized would neither be forgotten nor ignored, because they are beloved and precious from the perspective of the holy. This morning, we remember all of the people who have been told, explicitly or implicitly, through police violence or governmental policy, or through derision or dehumanization, that they're anything less than whole, anything less than beloved. As we each light a chalice in our homes, may we make our lives a beacon, a symbol of our promise to draw the circle wide, a sign that we will not rest until all means all. Please join me in the spoken affirmation. The words will appear on the screen. We gather as a caring community, seeking life's deeper meanings. We diversity and affirm the worth of all living things. We strive to speak truth in love, to act for justice, to grow in spirit, and to care for the earth. We celebrate with open hearts and minds the creative power that sustains and transforms us. Our next hymn is a beautifully sung prayer composed by cantor Linda Hirschhorn. Please rise and body your spirit to join us in singing hymn 155, Circle Round for Freedom, in the gray hymnal.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle whole. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children,
Now our guest speaker will share our time for all ages.
I switch place with you.
Oh, you're going to switch?
Is that okay?
That's fine with me.
I don't want to be up high. Thank you. Oh, let's turn it off. Okay. Da. Come on. Hi. Good morning. My name is Alex. My pronouns are Z and per, which is short for person. And I am here from Massachusetts. I'm in town because I was the featured speaker at Elliott Camp this week, and I'm flying out tonight, but I was invited to come hang out with you all. And I was like, well, I'm only going to be in a half an hour away. That sounds great. So here I am. I am a short, white person with sort of swoopy hair and sparkles on my eyelids and sparkles on my toes as well. I have sparkly shoes, and I'm also wearing one of my favorite shirts, which has blue birds on it. So, yay. And I have a story for you. How do you all like stories? Like stories? All right. This is the time in our service where you're welcome to run around if you want to run around, or sit on the floor if you want to sit on the floor, or do whatever you want to do at home to wiggle. Wiggling is great. So, this is a story that I wrote myself, and it is a retelling of an Aesop fable, which is terrible. This story is great. All right, here's how it goes. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, in a faraway land, a terrible fight broke out between the mammals and the birds. Now, as you might know, mammals are all the animals that are furry and have teeth and carry their babies inside them until they're born. And birds are all the animals who can fly and have beaks or bills and lay eggs in nests, right? You see, the mammals didn't trust the birds, and the birds didn't trust the mammals. They were just so different from one another that they didn't understand each other. The mammals didn't know what it was like to see the world from way up above, and the birds didn't know what it was like to be covered in fur instead of fluffy feathers. So the birds and the mammals started to fight. But there was one animal who didn't understand the fighting, and that was Bat. Bat couldn't pick a side in the fight because Bat felt like she was a little of both. After all, bats are furry and have teeth, but they also have wings and can fly. Bat was friends with both birds and mammals. She would go flying with her bird friends, and she would snuggle with her furry mammal friends. Bats are so snuggly. They're so great. When the fight broke out, Bat was really sad. She went to both the mammals and the birds and begged them to stop the violence. "Don't you see," she said to the other animals, "you're not that different from each other. We all feel love and hunger and pain. Look at me," she said. "I can fly, yet I'm also furry. I am proof that there's no real divide between mammal and bird." But the other animals wouldn't listen. They had been told all their lives that birds and mammals were at odds with each other and had nothing in common. They had been taught to fear one another. "Pick a side and stay there," Tiger ordered Bat at the mammals' camp. "Stop pretending to be something you're not. What are you really?" Eagle screeched the next day at the birds' camp. "I am both and neither," Bat said. But that was inconceivable to the other animals. Even her bird and mammal friends laughed in Bat's face, made fun of her, pushed her aside, and kept on fighting each other. At first, Bat was too sad to do anything more. But then she realized there were other animals like her, animals who were different from the others. Who do you think she went and found? Platypus. Platypus is amazing. Platypus has a bill and lays eggs like a bird, but has no wings and is furry like a mammal. Bat also found flying squirrel, who is furry yet flies through the air. Bat, platypus, and flying squirrel went and found ostrich and penguin and kiwi, who are all birds that can't fly, so they weren't part of the fighting. Now, there were more animals who could help the mammals and the birds understand that not all birds are the same and not all mammals are the same, and they should stop fighting and get to know each other better. It was hard, but the other animals finally listened and stopped fighting. They started realizing how amazing it is that there were so many differences among them, that birds can be as small as tiny hummingbird or as massive as albatross, and mammals can have tusks like elephant or the softest fur like bunny. And there were also ways that some birds and some mammals were more similar to each other than to their own kind. Owl and hedgehog discovered they both liked staying awake at night, and loon and otter realized they both loved water. Eventually, everyone forgot that it had been Bat, who was the bravest one of all and had stopped the fighting. And that was just fine with Bat. What mattered most to her was that all the animals were at peace, and that she had made a whole bunch of new friends like her, who were different in the coolest ways. The end. Thanks. I hope you liked my story, and I would like to invite all of you here to think about whether you've ever felt like Bat, whether you've been expected to pick a side or be one thing or another when you're really both or neither. And, being able to help each other and be in relationship with each other across those kinds of difference can really do a lot in this world to stop things like war. So I really feel like that's part of living our faith. So if we've got anyone here who would like to go to children's classes, now is a great time for that. And regardless of whether or not we do, I think we should sing a little bit. How do you feel about that? Great. Let's sing the children up to their classes, and the words for "May You Go With Joy" will appear on the screens.
That song was just long enough for us to make a switch up here. That's awesome. We gather as a caring community to give each one of us a place where we can do the work of many. Together, our light is much brighter than a solitary flame. Now is the time in our service when we share the sacred act of giving, an expression of gratitude transformed into generosity that breathes life into our mission. As a part of our mission that inspires us to act on our beliefs, we share our weekly offering with a local nonprofit agency providing services within our larger community. Our charitable giving recipient for the month of August is the Bremerton Backpack Brigade. In a moment, our ushers will move among us with baskets to collect the offering. Donations placed in the basket will go to Bremerton Backpack Brigade. If you would like your offering to be used for KUUF, please use one of the envelopes provided to you with your order of service when you came into the sanctuary. For those joining online, you may go to our website, kuuf.org, and select the Giving tab for PayPal and mailing information. If this is your first time at KUUF, feel free to let the basket pass you by. Your presence is your gift. Let there be an offering to strengthen and sustain our beloved community, which is sacred to us. Let us enjoy a gift of music, Minuet, by Maurice Ravel, performed by our music coordinator, Brian Kenny. Thank you, Brian, for the gift that you continue to bring to this congregation. That's fantastic. Now is our time for joys and sorrows. When shared together, our joys are amplified and our sorrows lessened. I'll start with myself. On behalf of myself and Matt Haver, thank you all for all of your support on our various debuts. Matt as a debut director and me as a debut anything. So glad to have you there, and it was very heartwarming to have you all attend. I thank you. And from Ellen Newberg, we have a thank you for Beth and Paul Wilson's NW Barbecue. Great food, great music, and great camaraderie. And we light one last candle for those joys and sorrows that are still too tender to share.
You can keep your spot, Ed. Thank you. I just didn't want to share the story from down there. Thank you. All right, and we know there is a lot more, right, on our hearts and in our souls. So as we honor the joys that have been shared, we also honor those that are just weighing us or lifting us in 1,000 different ways, holding those together. Please join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation or reflection in whatever ways feel right to you with these words from Reverend Bill Sinkford. Spirit of life and love, dear God of all nations, there is so much work to do. We have only begun to imagine justice and mercy. Help us hold fast to our vision of what can be. May we see the hope in our history and find the courage and the voice to work for that constant rebirth of freedom and justice. That is our dream. Amen. And let's stay seated as we sing Spirit of Life, which is hymn number 123 in the Great Hymnal. The words will be on the screen. Thank you. Our reading this morning comes from Reverend Leslie Takahashi, and it's called Marginal Wisdom. They teach us to read in black and white. Truth is this, the rest false. You are whole or broken. Who you love is acceptable or not. Life tells its truth in many hues. We are taught to think in either or, to believe the teachings of Jesus or Buddha, to believe in human potential or a power beyond a single will. I am broken or I am powerful. Life embraces multiple truths, speaks of both and of and. We are taught to see in absolutes, good versus evil, male versus female, old versus young, gay versus straight. Let us see the fractions, the spectrum, the margins. Let us open our hearts to the complexity of our worlds. Let us make our lives sanctuaries to nurture our many identities. The day is coming when all will know that the rainbow world is more gorgeous than monochrome, that a river of identities can ebb and flow over the static, stubborn rocks in its course, that the margins hold the center. Now let's join in a moment of reflection, which will be followed by our post-reflection music, Hummingbird's Lullaby, which was composed and played by Martin Sorensen. Sweet. So, I'd like to tell you all another story. How's that sound? You like stories, okay? You like my first one? Okay. This one comes from one of my spiritual mentors, the fabulous Kate Bornstein, and it is her version, a queer and non-binary version, of the story of Adam and Eve. It's good. Here's how it goes. Once upon a time, God was bored. God needed a project. So God created a world. And God made Lilith, but she was a little too much to handle, so God sent her on her way and created Adam and Eve. And God made them a garden and told them, everything you need is here. Go anywhere you please. Do anything you want. Be happy and fulfilled. Oh, there's just one little thing, God said. All I ask is that you not eat the pretty-looking apples on that gnarly-looking tree over there, okay? Well, before you know it, a serpent showed up and seduced Eve into eating an apple, and Eve, in turn, convinced Adam to take a bite. And as the story goes, they were instantly aware of their nakedness and were ashamed. God realized what had happened and came to see them. But God wasn't mad. God was profoundly sad. And I'll tell you why. The reason God had wanted Eve and Adam to not eat from that tree was because it was the tree of good and evil. As soon as they ate from it, they became aware of the binary of good and evil, and they were seduced by it. Once they were stuck on the idea that good and evil is a binary, all nuance was destroyed. All things had to be either good or evil, with no overlap, no other options, no complexity. This, according to Kate Bornstein, was our fall from grace. Our fall was believing that good and evil is a binary, that good and evil are fundamental, mutually exclusive opposites. Before this fall from grace, Eve and Adam were open-hearted, curious, joy-filled, exploring the world and marveling at its complexity and beauty. After the fall, they were fearful, shame-filled, closed-hearted. The world lost its vibrancy and color. Because of our fall from grace, because we got seduced by the binary of good and evil, we humans came to believe that everything can be categorized as good and evil, and right or wrong, and ultimately at the heart of our infatuation with good and evil, we came to believe that we can use this system to know what and who is safe and unsafe. And so we set out to categorize everything into these either-or binary systems: light and dark, warm and cold, day and night, life and death. And then we tied all of these mutually exclusive sets of opposites back to that big one, good and evil. We decided that light is good, right, safe, and dark is bad, wrong, unsafe. Warm is good, right, safe, and cold is bad, wrong, unsafe. But we didn't stop there. We are so stuck on the idea that binary opposites help us determine what is safe that we started dividing humanity into binaries too: civilized and uncivilized, Christian and heathen, rich and poor, white and black, able and disabled, male and female, straight and gay. In each case, and these are just a few, one so-called opposite is considered good and right and safe and normal, and the other is considered wrong, evil, unsafe, even subhuman. Now, hopefully here in this space, we can emphatically agree that there's nothing wrong or subhuman about being non-Christian or poor or black or disabled or female or gay. Can we? Yeah. This is not rhetorical. I want you to give me some feedback here. Okay, we can agree. That's good. But there are forces at play, forces that carry immense power, that promote the idea that these ways of being are fundamentally lesser than, that they are not normal, right? Yes. Thank you. One person. I appreciate you, Ed. What I want to pose to you today is that our purpose as a spiritual community is to work together to defeat these forces, to destroy oppression and violence and injustice, to heal ourselves and the world and each other from the effects of these binaries, to transform ourselves, our communities, and our world. How does that sound? Great. Okay. So, sounds good, but how do we live into this purpose, right? Well, the first thing we need to do, and there's two that I'm going to talk about today, but the first is that we need to destroy the lie that all people can be divided into binaries: rich and poor, white and black, able and disabled, male and female, straight and gay, young and old, etc., etc., etc. The story that we are sold is that each of these sets is a question in an online survey, and we are all forced to check one and only one box, right? Whenever we meet someone new, we are trained to make a split-second decision about what they are: age, race, gender, right? We are stuck on the illusion that this information helps us make sense of the world and helps us stay safe. But, spoiler alert, none of these binaries are true. Let's take black and white. That one's clearly untrue, right? Are all people black or white? Are you sure? Yes, according to dominant culture. But no, not in real life. Black people exist and white people exist, but there are also people who are both black and white, people who are neither black nor white. There are multiracial people, indigenous people, Latina people, Asian folks and Pacific Islanders, Arab folks, and so many more, right? So even black and white, or even people of color and white people, is a false binary. Make sense? You're with me so far? Okay, there's a lot more complexity within humanity than just white and black, able and disabled, rich and poor, sure. But male and female, that one's solid, right? It's one of the foundational ways we make sense of our world. Actually, it's a lie. And I'm not just talking about the fact that trans women and trans men and non-binary people exist. Oh no, I am talking about biology. Here's what's true. Biological sex diversity is a simple fact of this world. Because of natural biological variation, as many as 1 in 50 human bodies differs from what's generally considered typical for females and males. That's massive. 1 in 50. That's more common than red hair. As just a couple of examples, some people have an extra X or an extra Y chromosome. Some people only have a single X. Some people with typical male biology can't process testosterone. Even if we just look at what's considered the epitome of biological sex, our external genitalia, for about 1 in every 2,000 births, someone looks to see if the baby is female or male and simply can't tell. To put this number in perspective, about 1 in 2,000 people in this country is a member of a Unitarian Universalist congregation. So, having genitalia that isn't clearly a clitoris or a penis is just as common as Unitarian Universalism. And we might be a small religion, but we definitely exist, right? Thank you, that person who said, yes, we exist. Thank you. The gender binary of male and female is a lie. And that's just biology, right? The gender binary is so much bigger than that. The gender binary tells us that not only do all people come in 2 separate biological models, but that also that all people with model M factory settings identify as men, are masculine in every possible way, and are attracted to women. We are told there is a universal experience of maleness, that all of these people have short hair and are emotionally unexpressive and only care about sports and small engine repair. Thank you very much. Is this true? Don't listen to him. Is this true? No, it's not. It's a lie. So I'm not a man or a woman. I don't know if it has anything to do with my biology, but what I do know is that my authentic self, down to my toes and down to my soul, does not fit into this gender binary we've all been taught and pressured to conform to. I am a genderqueer, gender fluid, flamboyantly masculine and feminine all at one time, neither here nor there. Mary Martin is Peter Pan, bow tie flashing, motorcycle riding, roller derby playing, femme boy. That's who I am, and it's just who I am. But in order to be myself, I had to reject the lie that said there are only 2 ways of being in this world. And in order to survive and thrive, I needed people to be willing to unlearn the lie that everyone is either or, and affirm that I and thousands of other people like me exist. Are you willing to do that? Okay, otherwise, this wouldn't go well. Thank you. And I hope so, because I really do believe that the first way we can live into our purpose as a spiritual community and work to create a world free from oppression and violence is to unlearn the lies that keep us from being in touch with the full complexity of our world, of each other, and of our own selves. So, that's the first way. What's the second way? Well, I think the second thing we need to do to live into that purpose is to destroy the binary of us and them. You see, the primary way that religion has been seduced by the binary of good and evil is by setting up a binary between us, those of us with certain beliefs, those of us who gather in this room, and them, those who have different beliefs, gather in a different space, etc. So the practice of transforming our understanding of us and them is actually exactly what the Welcoming Congregation program is all about. That's the program that UU congregations can go through to intentionally increase their welcome and inclusion of LGBTQ people. And KUUF officially became a welcoming congregation 27 years ago in 1997. Can we get a round of applause for that? That's really big. Was there anyone who was here then and was part of that effort? Heck yes, yes. That does make you all among the early wave of congregations that did this program. And I was in charge of that program for a few years when I worked at the UUA's national office. And what I learned was that a lot of congregations doing this work focus on those people out there. They talk about welcome as if it's something we need to do for them. You feel that? Yeah. But being a welcoming congregation isn't about them. It's about us. It's about what our definition of us is. And it's about what we're willing to do to transform that definition. Let me tell you what I mean. The Welcoming Congregation program was started in 1990 because our denomination's values were not being practiced when it came to gay, lesbian, and bisexual people. Assumptions and beliefs about LGBT people that were part of our larger culture were being unconsciously perpetuated in our congregations. Now, this was a bit shocking because we thought of ourselves as one of the good religions, right? After all, we'd been ordaining LGBT people for years, and we'd even passed a resolution supporting same-sex services of union. But most UUs still had an expectation that their kids would grow up to be straight, that their minister would be straight, right? LGBT people weren't bad and wrong, but they were still them, not us. We learned that real welcome takes hard work. It takes actively fighting cultural messages about what and who is normal and right and most valuable. And it also takes transforming the idea that we are straight, that heterosexuality is the default here. You see, the transformation we were invited into wasn't from gay people are bad to gay people are not bad. It was from gay people are them to gay people are us. It was from we welcome gay people to we are people of all sexual orientations. Do you feel the difference? Yeah. At its best, being a welcoming congregation invites us to practice redefining our understanding of who we are. It offers us the chance to see this practice as part of our purpose as a community, growing our understanding of us wider and wider until eventually, long way down the road, every living thing is us. And there's no longer any such thing as them. Can you imagine that? I know it's hard. That's why it's a spiritual practice, right? I want to get really real with you for a minute. Is that okay? Okay. I want to get real about the fact that although the general perception is that Unitarian Universalism has made the shift from gay people are them to gay people are us, this same transformation has not occurred when it comes to trans and non-binary people, or LGBTQ people of color, or disabled LGBTQ people, or poor and low-income LGBTQ people. 3 years ago, Trust, our UU organization of trans religious professionals, published the results of a survey that showed that despite more than 3/4 of all UU congregations being welcoming congregations, 72% of all trans UUs do not feel as though their congregation is fully inclusive of them. 72%. And 82% of non-binary people, specifically as a subset, do not feel fully included. These numbers are really personal to me because I'm one of those statistics. Even though I was raised here in Unitarian Universalism, I have never found a congregational home. I've never found a UU congregation where I felt as though I and my chosen family were really fully part of the us. This is not because the average UU congregation is actively hateful or unfriendly to trans people. But there's more to welcome than friendliness, right? The truth is, the entire 3+ decades that I've been a UU, Unitarian Universalism has told the world and has told me that LGBTQ people are welcome here. But that entire time, I have experienced that welcome as conditional. My whole life, I've known that I could attend any UU congregation and not be actively rejected as long as I wore certain clothes and said certain things and acted in a certain way. I've known that I could be openly queer and trans as long as I didn't get too demanding about my basic needs around things like pronouns and bathrooms. I've known that because I'm white and college educated and non-disabled, I can appear to fit in a way that many of my people can't. I've known that because of this, people would be friendly to me. But that's not the welcome I need. Conditional welcome isn't real welcome. These are the things that communicate who we think of as us and who we think of as them. I'm not looking for a congregation where I am simply allowed to exist as a trans and queer person. I'm looking for a congregation where my trans and queer understanding of the world, of community, and of Unitarian Universalism is reflected and honored. And I haven't found it yet. And when I talked to the folks this week at camp about this, a lot of people were like, that must be because you're from the East Coast. No. And there were a lot of Canadians there, so they were like, that must be because you're from the US. Which maybe a little bit, but no, the places that I have found to be most like my flavor of Unitarian Universalism have been in the US South. They've been in Oklahoma and Mississippi. They've been in places where people have had their faith tested, y'all, where it's embodied, right? It's not just theoretical. And my heart is heavy because I don't want to just find a home myself. I want Unitarian Universalism to be the saving power in my people's lives that I know it can be. I want to be able to tell Black trans women and LGBTQ asylum seekers and struggling non-binary youth that they can go to their local UU congregation and find healing and strength and resilience to keep up the fight for survival in a culture that is trying to annihilate them. But I can't, because I can't trust that their local congregation will even be safe for them, much less a place of resilience. And the worst part is how much my people need this right now, in this truly terrifying, life-threatening time for trans people. We are in a full-on moral panic about trans people, y'all. I need to know that the religion that has told me and the rest of the world that LGBTQ people belong here, I need to know that my religion has our backs and will do the work that it takes to become places of belonging for us in this moment. And yet, I constantly hear from trans and non-binary UUs that they feel the opposite of belonging, that they have to steel themselves in UU spaces for invasive questions, or intolerant or ignorant comments, or resistance to the things they need in order to feel seen and whole. I want to believe that KUUF will be different. And I know there are people here who are thinking, that's just because you haven't tried our church yet. I see you, it's okay. And I want to think it'll be different. I don't know, maybe you will be. I want to think that in this congregation, trans and non-binary folks will be more than tolerated, but embraced, and our spiritual gifts honored, and our needs respected and celebrated, that everyone here will practice open-hearted curiosity and lean into the possible discomfort of what it will take to make this a place of safety and joy for all those who are drawn to be here. You see, we're not called to passively open our doors to a group that we think of as them. We are called to transform our understanding of us, to destroy the binary of us and them. Now, this isn't something that can happen internally, individually in your head, okay? Expanding your definition of us takes external change, communal change, change that grows from your heart, change that comes from being in relationship across lines of difference. It takes practice. It takes transformation of the way things are done around here, right? How we do worship, who's in leadership, how we show up for each other, and so much more. And that's not always going to be comfortable. But here's the thing. This journey of breaking down the binaries of gay and straight, female and male, black and white, us and them, good and evil, it's a journey of healing, of resistance, of saying no to shame and saying yes to life in all its beautiful, messy, fabulous complexity. Now, the temptation is to be seduced by the binary of good and evil and think that we are either good or bad, right? We were one of the good religions, right? We still have that as individual people or as a church. The temptation is to see ourselves as a good, welcoming congregation. And when folks who are trans, disabled, lower class, people of color say, but I'm not having a welcoming experience here, to then feel like we have to defend ourselves from being bad and say, no, you're wrong. You must be wrong because we are welcoming. We are good, right? Instead of saying, whoa, we must need to work on something a little bit more because the people that we thought we were welcoming to aren't having that kind of experience here. The thing is, it's not about being good or bad. You are good. You are good. That's not in any kind of doubt. We're universalists, right? That's what that means. So it's not about being good and bad, and it's definitely not about avoiding discomfort or shame. It's about practicing affirming the kaleidoscopic nature of humanity, practicing getting uncomfortable and feeling like it's safe to be uncomfortable, practicing allowing ourselves to feel curious without feeling shame at the fact that we still have more to learn. Of course we have more to learn. We're never done learning. We're never done growing. We're never done practicing. That's why we're here. We're here to say there is more to life than just good or bad, right or wrong. So as we navigate this culture of binaries, of either or thinking that surrounds us, my charge to you all today is to resist the seduction of binary ways of thinking and question the definition of us. What is the next way you can expand the circle of inclusion and belonging? What piece of you do you keep quiet about because you feel like it doesn't quite fit? What can you do to learn and share more about the other differences that already exist here but have stayed hidden beneath expectations about who's here and who's not? We are called, as you use, to be more than simply friendly and good people. We are called to practice transformation and take that practice out into the world. So thank you for joining me in this practice, because it is truly one of the most holy, life-changing, and world-transforming things that we can do together. Amen, Ashe, Aho, and blessed be. Woo. Let's sing. You want to sing? Please rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, 1017, Building a New Way, in the teal hymnal. The words will be on the screen. Thank you.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. We are working to be free. Hate and greed and jealousy. We are working We can feed every peace and feed our every need. We can feed our every need. That is a seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, this world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way, getting stronger every day. We are building a new way. All right, after the service is over today, please exit through the foyer. Coffee and tea will be served in the foyer, and I was passed a note in the middle of that song that says, during coffee hour today, please enjoy berry cobbler and ice cream left over from yesterday's musical barbecue made by Marty, Bill, and Beth. Woo! You are welcome to bring your beverage and snacks back into the sanctuary if you wish. And we will part with closing words by Kapitan.
This has been delightful. How y'all feeling? All right. Yeah, stretched a little. Hopefully. Okay, so our closing words come from Reverend Joe Cherry, and they are called Prayer for Living in Tension. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. Go in peace.
Today, after the service, we have a special speaker, Kathy Railsback, and she's going to be talking about trauma education in Sudan. And she spent a lot of years there educating folks about how to reconcile. Thank you. It's 11:45.